French onion soup is a timeless classic that people always order out at a restaurant. But it's not that hard to make, so why not make it at home? There are two key ingredients in French onion soup. Of course, the onions and the broth that they sit in. So let's focus on those two ingredients. First off, what onions should we use? Well, I like to use either a sweet Vidalia Maui onion or a white onion or a mixture of the two. But don't use a red onion because a red onion will turn your soup a gray color, unattractive. We're going to slice the onions and caramelize them. This is the longest, most time-consuming part of French onion soup. If you'd like to learn more about how to slice an onion or how to caramelize onion, please check out our other basic segments. What I have in this pan is 3 pounds of onion that has been caramelized slowly. It takes over an hour, so plan for that step. Once they're beautifully golden, let's deglaze with some white wine. As we do this, we're going to scrape up the bottom of that pot, making sure that any brown bits that are left there are incorporated into the liquid. Bring this to a simmer, and that alcohol will boil off a little bit. So the wine is simmering, the alcohol is boiled off. We're going to add some flavoring ingredients, some fresh thyme, a couple bay leaves, and now the very important ingredient, which is beef stock. You see the color of this beef stock? This is a really good beef stock. The best beef stock to use would be the one you've made yourself at home. But if you can't do that, make sure you buy good quality beef stock or even ask your butcher for some beef stock. Give this one good stir. Then we're going to let this simmer for about 30 minutes. That's going to give time for the onions to really infuse their flavor into that delicious stock and vice versa, making a beautiful base. While the soup is simmering is a perfect time to get all the other components ready for the soup. First up, crostini. We're going to toast some bread slices so that they are nice and dried out and absorb more of that soup when they're resting on top. Let's preheat our oven to 350 degrees. So slice this baguette straight down so we get a good surface area without an angle, about 1 to 2 inches thick. I'm going to place these on a crisping pan so that I can get them nice and dried out on both sides. I'm going to drizzle just a little bit of olive oil on top. Okay, these are going to toast for about 10, maybe 15 minutes, just until they're nice and dry. The rest of our ingredients include, very importantly, Gruyere cheese. Now, Gruyere is a Swiss cheese with a beautiful nutty flavor. It's delicious on French onion soup, and it's a really good melting cheese, and that's what we want. Here's your Gruyere cheese. I've grated it up so that it melts more easily on top of the soup. We're also going to be using some fresh thyme leaves, some garlic, and I'm going to finish the soup with a classic butter ending. So I have some butter ready to go. The other final thing you have to be ready for is, of course, your soup crocks. These are going to go right under the broiler, so make sure your crocks are oven safe. And I've put them onto a sheet pan with a little bit of silicone so they don't slide around. Toast your crostini until they are nicely dried and a little bit brown around the edges. Now's the time to preheat your broiler and make sure that your oven rack is adjusted in your oven so that there's enough room for your soup crock underneath that broiler element. While your broiler is preheating and while your crostini are still hot, take a garlic clove and rub this gently on the crostini. That's going to give it just a very light garlic flavor. Let's talk about building the soup. First thing is we have to taste this and make sure it's seasoned to your liking. It's delicious already, but I'm going to put a little bit of salt in, a little bit of black pepper, and give that a stir. The final step in this soup making is to turn the heat off, and we're going to add a little butter to finish it in the classic French way. This will melt in and give a final richness to the soup. Okay, to build the crocks, get your oven-safe crocks and fill each one almost to the top with our onion soup mixture. Leave a little room there for the bread and cheese that are going to go on top. And place this onto a sheet pan so that you can move them more easily into and out of the oven. And we're going to add a little finishing touch, a little half teaspoon of brandy or sherry to each bowl. We're going to nestle a couple of these crostini right onto the top. And now take your grated cheese and generously top the soup. This is gonna go under the broiler. Don't walk away, you're gonna stick around, you're gonna watch. Watch for the cheese to melt and turn bubbly and a little bit brown. Being sure to keep a watchful eye on your soups. When they're nice and brown and bubbly, take them out from underneath the broiler, marvel at their beauty, and garnish them up with a little bit of fresh thyme. Goodness. And then you must warn your guests that that crock is very hot. Transfer it to a plate so that you can carry it to the table and let everybody dig in.